G'day, ZiggyD here, back with another Path of Exile Endgame Map Commentary. Today we're going to be running a level 66 dungeon map, and you'll notice I'm doing it on my Reign of Arrows Ranger. Now, why would I be doing this on such a higher level character, a low level 66 map? This is an entry level map. Well, there's two reasons for this. Firstly, it is the dungeon map is one of the harder of the 66s, especially because the boss that spawns in it is based on Brutus. So he hits very hard, and if you're sort of just getting into 66 maps, you're probably a boss you want to avoid completely, just because you're at a good risk of getting one shot if your life isn't that high. If you have something like 4 to 5k life and a decent amount of armor, I have 47% armor here, and 5.4k life is heaps, and I should be able to tank smashes from him pretty well. But if you're closer to like the 4k life, maybe 30% armor at your level, or 40% armor but you're a much lower level, then it's going to be a bit tougher, and you will be able to tank with granites or jade flasks if you're iron reflexes, but it's still very risky to get slammed by Brutus or Cole or any of those mobs. They hit very hard, so definitely a boss that you might want to consider avoiding. Now, the second reason why I'm running it on my Reign of Arrows Ranger instead of a lower level character is because I'm also going to be running it unidentified as an unidentified rare. Now, running an unidentified map in Path of Exile, whether it's blue or rare, gives you a 30% quantity bonus. Now, this is alright for running blues, isn't too risky, especially of low-level maps. Running low-level unidentified blues isn't too risky. Every now and then you might put in a map where it ends up being blood magic or some other affix that you can't do, and there's a risk of that being the case here for me in this episode here. We'll see. I could probably do blood magic if it really comes down to it, but I'd much rather not, so hopefully that doesn't spawn. But there's a few other mods that aren't really a big deal for me, so yeah, I should be okay with doing this. Generally, I wouldn't recommend running unidentified rare maps. Sure, you get 30% extra quality, but there's quantity, sorry, but there's so much more that can spawn on a rare map that could make that map unrunnable for you, and it's too much of a risk. I think you're better off IDing it, and then if you can run it, you can run it. If you can't run it, consider selling it if it's a lower level map, or if it's a higher level map, maybe scour it and alch it again yourself, or use a Chaos Orb on it. So I'm going to be running my level 66 dungeon map here, and the reason I want to do this as well is to take you guys through the process of figuring out the mods that spawn on an unidentified map, because as you can see here, when we actually go into this map, once all this stuff spawns here, you'll see that once we actually open up the map here, we don't actually see what mods we're dealing with. So that's a concern. We don't know what we're at risk of dying from. There could be any number of things, like there could be mobs deal extra lightning damage on top of mobs dealing extra damage. There could be physical and elemental reflect. There could be a bunch of different things that could kill our character outright. So the first thing I know is we're cursed with temporal chains. We can see that up here. I'll take you guys through the process of identifying each one of these affixes, if possible. It's not always possible to identify all of them outright, but we'll see what we can do. The first thing I want to point your eyes to, though, is the map yields 84% more items. Now, with the 30% bonus, we're looking at a 54% map here. That's not a very high quantity, it's not nowhere near 100%, so this map probably isn't going to be too hard. Temporal Chains we know gives a fairly high amount of percentage, so I think this one's actually not going to be too hard. But let's look at the other things we have here. Okay, first thing to look at, we've identified Temporal Chains. Nice obvious one, with characters cursed with it. Nothing we can do about that, we're going to move slow. We're just going to have to deal with that. Second thing, looking at our resistances. Are our resistances reduced, the total resistance is reduced, or is the maximum cap of resistance reduced? Neither seems to be the case here. If you come in here and you're looking at like 60-something% as your capped resist, you know you're playing a minus max map. If you look at here and your total resistances have been reduced, and maybe like if you're, say for lightning resist, if I get cursed with elemental weakness here, or something like that, obviously that would be obvious, but your resistance will be reduced there as well. The other thing to look for is there shocked, chilled, or burning ground. I can't see any. It would already be evident to me if that were the case. So it looks like then, since we've identified that that's the case, we should probably check our region. My life region 146 seems appropriate for this character, so I think it does display on the tooltip. Looks like my regen is normal, so that shouldn't be a half regen. It's definitely not a no regen map, and it's obviously not blood magic because we still have our mana. So that's pretty good. That crosses off a lot of the good ones. However, since this is the map with Brutus in it, we could be dealing with like boss turbo or mobs turbo or boss damage or something like that, or mob damage, which could all be very dangerous, and that's why I wouldn't recommend ever running a dungeon map unidentified, because the boss is so dangerous. So in terms of clearing this, it's basically your standard dungeon layout here, and I'm just going to stick to one wall. I'm going to pick the left wall, and I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to clear. And if there's a sort of a room, I'm going to clear that room. So looks like there's nothing here. I'm going to continue up this way. Obviously, we're going to be moving around pretty slowly in this map, so I'll probably cut a bit and give you guys sort of just like the condensed version of this map. But first thing we're always going to do, especially in an unidentified map, and pretty good idea in all maps, is to identify what mobs we're dealing with. The sparkling mages and stuff, I think, are the core spawn. The basic mob type in this one, but we are dealing with carrion minions and carrion queens. Carrion queens are pretty annoying, but not too bad. I'm not really going to be able to... they look like they're kind of moving at normal speed, so I don't think we're dealing with turbo mobs either. So I'm just going to start clearing things out, and I'll cut to any interesting points that I need to share with you guys. Alright, so here's another little layout note for the map. When you sort of come into these rooms that have a bunch of little cells lined up like this, you'll see it's pretty evident on the actual mini-map up there. There's a bunch of little cells like that. You basically want to make sure you clear out each one of those before progressing onwards. So there's no mobs in here, and there'll often be chests and barrels and things spawning in each one of these as well. And although this is a 66 map, so I'm probably not going to be really bothering with barrels on it because, you know, sure I always get comments about this, but sure I could get an Exalted Orb dropping from a barrel. But the chances of that happening versus the time spent smashing all the barrels in the world is not really worth it for me. I'm much more likely to spend that, to get an Exalt if I spend that time killing mobs instead. So the only exception is higher level maps where we really want to try and get a refund, so we'll smash barrels in those maps. So I'm just going to continue sticking to my left wall here. Looks like we've got some Undying Incinerators and things like that. Nothing too much to deal with there. Ancestral's nice and easy. Ooh, an Alk drop, nice. Looks like we managed to get a +1 map drop off a rare there, so just sort of reiterating this for you guys that are new to maps. Blue mobs can potentially drop 1+ level map higher, so you know, that's always good. Getting more magic monsters can mean you can potentially like increase your map level by 1 if you get a drop of those guys, and rares can go up to +2. That's basically because the eye level of mobs depends on the rarity of the mobs. So all of these white mobs in here are all level 66, which is the base level of the zone. This rare, however, here is level 68. It's a level 68 base mob. That's why they're a little bit harder, in addition to the affixes they spawn with. They're going to have higher base stats as well. And then blue mobs obviously are +1, so they're level 67 in this particular map here. And that's really important for progressing through maps, because it means the only way to really progress through the map system, to get further along in it, is to you know, get map drops from rares and blue monsters. The only maps you're going to get from white mobs or barrels are going to be refunds, which at level 66 to level 69 isn't a really big deal. But when you're progressing through the higher level maps, getting like a level 75 map back in a level 75 map is definitely good value. That's something you want to get happening all the time. So there's not too much you need to do to change your playstyle about that, but it's just handy to know which mobs are actually going to drop which maps. Another little side tip, I think I've talked about this before, but highly recommend carrying a Devouring Totem, especially if you're playing in Nemesis, because you're dealing with like Soul Conduit mobs as well. But in all leagues, I think it's pretty handy against Necromancers, because you can throw down the Devouring Totem. It's going to eat all the corpses while you're fighting the Necromancer, especially if it's a longer sort of fight. Then you're going to have a much easier time of it, as they can't respawn. I'm just checking all these little cells, as you can see, before spawning on. You'll notice a lot of mobs spawn in these cells, and they're all really nice and easy to kill as a ranged character. So I'm just going to stand outside the door and fire through the door. If you're playing something like Lightning Arrow, it's going to be a little bit harder to shoot through the doorway. Rain of Arrows is a little bit easier, but a lot of spells and stuff will go through doors and stuff as well. Otherwise, you can just open it and fight them in the choke point there. Chuck a decoy totem in the door or something like that. Now, I've been consistently seeing really large packs in this zone. Now, this is a pretty tight sort of zone, map. There's a lot of little hallways and little tiny rooms and things like that. So generally, if you roll pack size on that, either pack size isn't going to work correctly, and this has been the case in the past. I'm pretty sure it's still the case. Basically, if mobs spawn a larger pack that's too large for an area, some of them won't spawn. But otherwise, you'll get really jam-packed rooms, and looking at the size of all these packs, I'm pretty sure one of the other mods we've spawned is pack size. So I can pretty safely say we have Temporal Chains, which is obviously one of the really big ones there, and we have pack size. Now, we need more mods than that, because, whoa, that was a big freeze. That is a powerful crits mob there. So you can see powerful crits, very dangerous with any sort of elemental affix, especially freeze, as I got frozen for a pretty decent amount of time there, considering my like life pool in this low level map. So actually a little bit scary there, but not too bad. But you can sort of work your way through this list of affixes, and we know that there's got to be more than 2 affixes. So we have now Temporal Chains and pack size. I'm pretty sure are 2 of the mods So we'll try and figure out what the rest of them are. We're not dealing with turbo or anything like that, so I suspect our luck is that we're dealing with like unique boss is 25% faster and deals 30% more damage. So we'll see. Hopefully that wasn't the case, because that one is pretty nasty. Another thing to note is that we haven't seen like one type of mob spawn. Like, we're not dealing with just humanoids here because we've had bugs spawn. We're not dealing with demons because we've had bugs spawn. We're not dealing with animals because we've had humanoids spawn. So we're not dealing with a demographics mod on this map either, so that we can sort of exclude that one from the sort of our guessing game here. Alright, so once you sort of find your way down like a little hallway here, you'll reach an opening. I haven't full cleared the map yet, so I could go back and full clip that map if I wanted to. But I think I'll just progress in and do the boss now for you guys. So you'll see the opening. There's going to be a bit of a hallway. There'll be a few magic mobs in the room. We'll try and draw some of these guys out before dealing with Brutus himself. So we're kind of going to try and go fishing a little bit. Don't let anyone tell you that there's no fishing in Path of Exile, because there most definitely is. There should be some blues in this room. I think I can see some up there. There we go. Oh no, we aggroed. Okay, we aggroed Brutus. That's fine. There's probably some blues in there. I can probably fight him in this room here. Let's see if we can draw him forwards a bit. I'll throw a decoy totem. There he is. So, if you spawned in this map with temporal chains, I would simply suggest not doing Brutus whatsoever, because it's going to be much harder to dodge his chain pulls here. But what we're going to do, we're going to give it a go. It's going to be a bit tougher. The way to fight Brutus is to let him do his chain pull, dodge it, and then fire for like, about a second, as long as he's not turboed. It looks like he's not turboed, so that's fantastic. I'm really happy about that. We might have been dealing with a monster damage mod, which isn't too big a deal for me because I'm nice and high level. He's going to run up on me there. So if he does run up on you, or if you get chain pulled, you want to pop your granite straight away so that you can tank that smash. But so far, even with temporal chains, we're able to just sort of very calmly, try and as calmly as possible. Oh, we did get hit that time. Whoa, okay. Looks like we either got desync slam or something happened there. I'm going to wait for a chain pull, then move. There's a chain pull, then dodge. Brutus is by far the most desyncy fight if you sort of, if you get a higher amount of desync than some other players, like if you're playing on a connection from a different country, like myself playing on Australian servers. I do occasionally get some pretty big desync issues, and Brutus is the worst for it. But still, not too bad as long as you sort of keep calm, keep the dodging of the chain action happening. This is a nice sort of open area to do this. Otherwise you can do it in the other room, but I'm pretty sure there's blue mobs in there as well. So I'm just going to do it in this one for now. Pretty easy, just sort of, I'm just doing this like one shot at a time because I'm on temporal. If I wasn't on temporal, I could probably do multiple shots of frenzy before moving again, because there's that, you can see there's a pretty big delay while he sort of winds up for his next chain or gets ready for that. It's like we got punched or something there as well. We can probably use our rain of arrows even. Finish him off. Here we go, and then we'll go for the culling strike. Now there we go. There's a few rares there, not bad. We didn't get any other rares in this map, actually. It's pretty funny. But Orb of Chance there as well. No more map drops from Brutus, but let's go check the room, because I'm pretty sure there's some blue mobs in here as well. So we'll want to clear out this room. But I think we got pretty lucky on this rare map spawns. So while I'm clearing this out, let's talk about, when do you actually want to run unidentified maps? I reckon if you're making your way through like 67 and 68 maps, and an unidentified blue 66 map drops, then I reckon it's probably worth giving it a go. Sure, you have the potential of throwing it away, like if it spawns with something you can't run. But overall, it's kind of just like a free extra map, and the extra 30% extra quantity on a blue map is a pretty big deal. That's like a huge gain. On a rare map, I don't really think it's ever worth it, because there's more potential that you're going to lose it. You're going to have to throw it away. Even like me going back now to do a 66 rare map is not worth it at all, because I'm in much higher level maps. So the potential to get the higher chance of getting like +2s is only going to give me 68 maps. Level 68 maps, which is just really not worth the extra effort. Especially, I've had to run this with temporal chains because it wasn't a map I crafted, it was a rare unidentified map, and I've had to run this temporal chains map. Definitely not worth it, way too slow. I could be doing much more efficient things with my times. But all in the name of science, and all in the name of learning. But the other reason to do unidentified maps, of course, is they're fun. It's kind of fun kind of going into a map not knowing what you're doing, especially on hardcore, when you don't know if the boss is going to do extra damage or what he's going to do. We got pretty lucky on the mods this time. Temporal Chains is a bit tricky with that boss, but as you just saw, they're not impossible. It's pretty easy to get a shot off in between each chain pull and be relatively safe. We took the occasional hit, but if you sort of used your granites when something like that happened, you'll be okay. So that's basically what I think. You guys might feel like running unidentified maps is a little bit more worth it. I don't mind doing blues that are a few levels under your sort of current mapping level. So you know, if you're doing your level 74 maps and a unidentified level 69 map or something drops, then go ahead and do it. You know, the potential for the plus drops there isn't too bad, but I don't think it's really a big deal. I more think it's in the game for the fun factor than anything else. So in the end, we didn't really find out for sure what the extra mods on the map were. There's one other thing I can test here. To test for Reflect, you basically want to, assuming you do both elemental and physical damage, you want to attack a mob and pay attention to your character and whether, you know, as long as they're not getting shot by anything else, whether you sort of have a damage effect appear on your character. It doesn't look like it, like there's no like blood spitting out of my character's face, and there's no elemental effects appearing on my characters. So I'm pretty sure this is neither elemental or physical reflect map. So still, the mystery remains. I'm not exactly sure what the final mods are on this map, besides temporal chains and pack size. I'm pretty sure we're dealing with here. So don't know. It could be more magic monsters or something like that as well. And there could have been a damage mod on this map, as I said, because I'm a bit of a higher level for running this map. It would be a bit harder for me to tell that, whereas if you ran into a damage mod map, like monsters deal increased damage or something like that, you'd probably notice that more if you were just sort of getting into that level of maps. Alright, so once you've done a full circuit sticking towards the outside, as you can see we've cleared the boss room now and done our full circuit, you are going to want to duck through the middle. We can check how many more are remaining. I think there's probably still going to be more than 20. Yeah, so what we're going to do is sort of just stick to the same sort of wall, take the same approach we were, but going through the inner chambers. So I'm going to clear myself sort of counterclockwise, running through the center here and checking any areas I missed. I've kind of obviously ducked in through some of these areas, but I should be able to catch the rest of the mobs this way. Alright, so 10 monsters remain. Looks like I've missed a little tiny pack somewhere with so many little rooms and stuff. Pretty easy to miss that, but I'm pretty happy with that. With Temporal Chains, I'm not exactly wanting to run around the rest of the map. So let's head back to town and take stock of what we earned for it, and just make the final decision of running the Unidentified Rare 66 was worth it. We'll pretend, you know, we're sort of doing level 66 to 68 maps at the moment, and let's take stock of what we've got. First, we'll go ahead and identify the items we've got, see if we've got anything good. As I said, in this series, it's a little bit more relaxed because I want to also just sort of share other things with you as I go. And, you know, whether we get any decent sort of items. This item had potential. The damage rolls on it are very low. The life roll is mediocre, and life roll on energy shield items at endgame aren't really that popular. And it's only a 7% increased rarity is also quite low, and there's no resistances. So, although it had some nice stats on it, like damage, life, and rarity, it didn't really work out on this particular item. Nothing too exciting on these ones here. We have a spell damage staff there, but it's quite low. Nothing else on there. Nothing on the armor whatsoever. That's a terrible armor there. Terrible helmet. We have a pretty bad wand there with nothing on it. A very bad staff here with just attack speed. Nice attack speed roll, but nothing else on it. And then just a nothing mace there as well. So, in terms of currency, looks like we made, yeah, we got an alch and we got a few other random items of currency there. Not too bad. Looks like I got an extra chance orb as well. Didn't find any orbs, extra orbs to chance in there. And in terms of maps, we managed to get 1+1. So, looking at this from the perspective of someone who might be running level 68 to 69 maps, I would consider that to not have been worth it. Running that with Temporal Chains was brutal, and you know, there was a good chance when you're running an unidentified rare that you're going to get one mod that just makes it super painful, or a combination of mods that makes it super painful, or even unrunnable. So, don't recommend running unidentified rares unless you want to do it for fun or for a challenge. Unidentified blues, bit of a different story, less chance of getting bad things, but yeah. Anyway, that's what I think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.